Washington is no stranger to scandal, but every once in a while, a controversy erupts that shakes the very core of the political establishment. And right now, the spotlight is firmly on one woman, Kristi Noem. Once seen as a rising star in the Republican Party, the former governor of South Dakota and U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security suddenly finds herself at the center of a storm involving power, politics, and a rumored relationship that has become what many insiders call the worst-kept secret in Washington. At the heart of the controversy is Corey Lewandowski, a longtime political operative, former campaign manager for Donald Trump, and a man known for his aggressive style in Washington politics.
Recent news reports have discussed the possibility that Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski are in a close personal relationship. Is that a bad look, and do you think she'll be in the job much longer?
I don't know about that. I mean, I haven't heard that, but I'll find out about it, but I have not heard it.
For years, whispers circulated through political circles about an alleged relationship between Noem and Lewandowski. But those whispers exploded into the open during a tense congressional hearing. And that's when things got ugly. During the hearing, California Representative Sidney Kamlager-Dove asked the question that many in Washington had been quietly discussing for years.
So, Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming my
And ma'am,
time.
one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So reclaiming
and
my
is an
time,
advisor
Secretary, it is
and has
okay for
no,
you to be
no
offended
authority
by
to
the
be
question.
making any
It is
decisions.
okay for you to
has
be
no
offended
authority
by the
to
question.
be making
But it is
decisions
also
and
a
putting
real
up your
question.
position. So what I would say
And
to
you
you
should be able to
is
answer
that
the
what we do at the
question
Department of Homeland Security
clearly
every single
and without
day,
any hesitation.
every single day is to protect
If
this
someone
country
is
and
asking
to make
if
decisions.
you or any federal official is sleeping with their subordinate, that should be the easiest. You should be wanting to answer that question.
Is garbage?
Because it is not about
It is
your sex
offensive
life.
that you have brought
It is
that up.
about your
So
judgment.
that kind of garbage
It is
has
about
been refuted
reclaiming
for
my
years,
time so
and
that
you
I
need
can
to
hear myself.
recognize-
Time belongs to the gentlelady from California, but it'd be nice if you would let her respond.
I will. I want to let you know it is about your judgment and decision-making. It is about the 260,000 employees that work under you that want to make sure that you are giving information and making decisions clearly. It is about conflict of interest. It is about a national security risk.
But the pressure didn't stop there. Moments later, Florida Congressman Jared Moskowitz pressed the issue again, asking her to simply say no on the record to clear up the rumors. Yet again, Noem refused to give a direct answer. Instead, she doubled down, calling the allegations ridiculous and insisting the rumors had been refuted for years.
The president said he wanted to reform FEMA, but that's not what you did. You've basically destroyed the agency. Largest FEMA backlog in the history of FEMA. My state of Florida is owed $2.5 billion. You have delayed the FEMA disaster declarations even when the applicants meet FEMA's statutory threshold under the Stafford Act. You want states to do more, yet you want to cut the EMPG program, which grants them funding to build capacity. Your office was involved in discussions of moving FEMA to Texas. You created a rule of anything over $100,000 has to come to your desk, a rule that has slowed down FEMA reimbursement, FEMA response. We have empty regional offices. You have done the opposite of what President Trump wanted to accomplish, which was to speed up the process. Your policies have made the department slower. I didn't think it was possible to make FEMA more bureaucratic, but boy, you have exceeded all my expectations. In the Texas floods, you didn't put the urban search and rescue crews on the road for 72 hours. Days later, the FEMA urban search and rescue chief resigned in protest. You hired 2 people as the administrator with no FEMA experience. We're on our 3rd FEMA administrator in 14 months. Never in the history of the department has that ever happened. The president took presidential action to create the FEMA Council. I supported it. You opposed the FEMA Council. You delayed its beginning. The report has still not come out. The White House canceled your last council meeting and has held up the release of the report. But surprise, I have it. I have it. I want to thank the former FEMA employees that you fired who gave this to me. This report's never been seen in public before, okay? But this is it. This was the report. It was 122 pages, the original draft report. You and Corey Lewandowski then took the report and made it 23 pages. You cut out all the stuff that was put in by governors who had been through disasters, emergency management directors, FEMA experts, national security experts. You cut it all out. It's all gone. That's why the report's not been released. It's sitting in the White House trying to figure out this mess that you created. So instead of getting the recommendations we need, now we have nothing.
But by then, the political damage had already begun. Inside Washington, the controversy was already raising serious questions. Because Lewandowski wasn't just an outside advisor, he was working inside the Department of Homeland Security as a special government employee. That meant he had access to internal meetings, contracts, and decision-making processes. And according to reports from insiders, Lewandowski's influence inside DHS was enormous. Investigations described a department in constant chaos. Staff reportedly feared sudden firings. Employees were subjected to polygraph tests. And in one bizarre incident, Lewandowski allegedly fired a U.S. Coast Guard pilot after Noem's blanket was left behind on a plane.
In particular, I want to discuss the department's $220 million ad campaign. This is the ad campaign that featured you at Mount Rushmore. You're familiar with this ad campaign, correct?
I am familiar with it. It was an ad
So
campaign that was
I'm going to ask you some questions about it,
to-
Madam Secretary. So,
Okay.
as I understand it, this is a $220 million ad campaign. It's split between two contractors. One of those contractors got $143 million. That contractor is called Safe America Media, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That company is affiliated with a former political director of the National Republican Congressional Committee. Now, yesterday you testified, I think I'm quoting you right, you said, quote, or in reference to this contract, that, quote, it went out to a competitive bid. Do you stand by that statement?
It was a no-bid contract where two vendors were
It was a no-bid
chosen.
contract.
If it would have been a no-bid contract, if I'm using that correctly, it goes out to two different vendors.
Correct. So it was
There
not a
many
competitive.
media-
Let me try to explain
agency.
what the discrepancy,
No,
because a competitive bid is very different than a no competitive bid, and I'll just explain why. We know that your testimony yesterday, when you said, again, I'll quote, it went out to a competitive bid, is untrue. The reason we know it's untrue is because under federal law, your agency is required, whenever the agency decides to skip competitive bidding, to file a notice with the public explaining why. And in this case,
Right.
your agency filed a notice.
Right.
You're aware of that,
Right.
right? Justification and approval for other than full and open competition. Your agency made a decision not to proceed with competitive bidding, and one of the contractors that got the award was this Safe America Media Company that received $143 million.
Many
right?
vendors got the chance to look at that contract and to participate in it.
Well,
So that is why the two of them were
that's
chosen.
inaccurate, Madam Secretary. I'll read from the notice from your agency. Given the immediate action to significantly reduce illegal immigration and border crossings, DHS identified 4 companies. 4 of the hundreds of thousands of companies in the United States. You identified 4. One of those is this Safe America Media Company. Where is Safe America Media headquartered?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Madam Secretary. We can't find it. We can't find a website. We did find an address that's registered for this company. Do you know where that address is?
Is there a problem with this contract?
I'll
Because
tell you
was
about
done
it.
according to
Madam
law.
Secretary,
It was done by
the
career
address is
officials.
registered to a political
It was
operative.
dollars that were spent
Madam Secretary, the
to
company,
inform
and then
people
I'll give you an
that the
opportunity to
laws-
respond. The company is registered to a political operative in Virginia. Do you know, just by way of example, whether this company that received $143 million in taxpayer dollars, has it ever done work for the government before?
I don't know. I can't.
The answer is it has not. And do you know why we know that? Because it was incorporated 8 days before this contract went out. You want the American people to believe that this is all above board?
Yes,
that
I-
$143 million of taxpayer money just happened to go to this one company that doesn't have a headquarters, doesn't have a website, has never done work for the federal government before, and is registered apparently or attached to a residence from a political operative, And of course, one of the subcontractors of that contract, as you know, is a political firm that's tied to you back when you were governor of South Dakota.
And that's where the alleged relationship became more than just gossip. It became a potential conflict of interest, a national security issue, a leadership question. But the drama didn't stop there. At the same hearing, another controversy erupted. Senator John Kennedy grilled Noem over a $220 million taxpayer-funded advertising campaign promoting immigration enforcement ads that prominently featured Noem herself. But when reporters later asked Trump about it, he flatly denied knowing anything about the ads. According to insiders, the president was mad as a murder hornet. Shortly afterward, Donald Trump announced that Kristi Noem would no longer serve as Secretary of Homeland Security. Her replacement, Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. Trump publicly thanked Noem for her service, but said she would move to a different diplomatic role tied to a new Western Hemisphere security initiative. Officially, the move was framed as a transition, but inside Washington, few believed the timing was a coincidence. Between the congressional grilling, the affair rumors, the internal chaos at DHS, and the dispute over taxpayer-funded ads, Noem's tenure had become one of the most controversial in recent memory.